All right, we're live. No, got 2 people. That's the guy that sent me the za'atar seeds.
Oh, cool. Busy little house.
Hey, she's back. 1 second.
It was a really nice warm morning. It's kind of cloudy today right now, but morning's really warm.
All right. Oh, she's on here. Cool. All right. Do you guys have any questions, or should I just jump into the list and get those through? Can you guys hear us okay? Because the Wi-Fi's been acting up. I don't know if the whatever with the computer is working. Just want to check. List. Okay. I guess I can hear me. All right, here's one. What are your thoughts on taking the back to Eden concept and applying it to small commercial farms where there wouldn't be enough wood chips to cover vast fields?
Well, just then use ground covers, plant ground covers. It's all about covering. If you remember that film, The Biggest Little Farm, they did such a great demonstration of the power of ground covers. It was really powerful how they turned that whole place around by growing cover crops.
These cats are going crazy now. Oh yeah, you can grow cover crops or even just cover with compost, because you're gonna have to feed your soil if you're planting a lot. So I mean, that's what they do with normal market gardening and no dig. Let's see. How are your legs doing? Any progress since the chamber thing?
No, they're pretty much the same.
All right. I've listened to what you've said about cold weather gardening, but I can't help but wonder if a Midwest winter is too cold for successful gardening. What are your thoughts as it gets to be negative digits throughout parts of the winter?
Well, you just got to do what you can. I think root vegetables under cover, it's not a problem. Your greens and things above will be challenged. But like I say, if you grow under trees or protected areas, that could give you an edge.
All right. How do I begin to prune a 10-year-old fruit tree down to a manageable size?
No more than 1/3 at any pruning. That's the bottom line. If it's been 10 years, it's going to take you time to get it right. But if you do more than 1/3 of the total mass, you're going to the tree's going to just sucker everywhere, and you'll never control it. So limit yourself to 1/3, every year with the pruning.
And then what would you take out?
You start by getting it in the center and open up the center, get rid of the crossovers, any dead wood, and open it up. And then you start bringing it down. Reading is The Wealthy Gardener by John Soforic, Soforic. And I recommend that book to everyone, and especially for homeschoolers. Next to the Bible, the book of Proverbs, I've never encountered a better homeschool manual. This guy is really awesome. And how it started was his wife was driving home, and a young man was drunk, went over the center divider and hit her and killed her. She's dead. And this guy's struggling with the effect of bitterness and unforgiveness. And he decided he needed to get over it. So he went to the reformatory where this kid was and started discipling him, teaching him how to live. and he said that totally brought healing. And this is what the book is all about. How he just goes out to needy people. He went to that reformatory for this whole thing and just disciples and teach young men how to become successful. And the thing that's really interesting about the book is that he takes the whole issue of prosperity away from the pride, power, and control to a way, if you have prosperity, you can be effective, you can be helpful. It just makes life easier. And so it's just, I'm telling you, a really, really powerful book. And I just couldn't recommend it more highly to everyone.
Did you show the cover?
This is it. It's like really, you want to get this book.
I got it on Amazon. Like, I don't know, it just popped up in like the recommended thing. I was like, oh, sure, I'll get it. And then I had it sitting up in my room, and he had finished all his books, and I was sitting around, and I was like, you want something? And I haven't read it yet, so I brought it down.
I'm so thankful for this book. What a great book.
Yeah. All right, where was I? All right, we're in a drought. We're in a severe drought in Australia. Even with compost, wood chips, and what has been a 3-year-old healthy back-to-Eden garden is struggling without the rain. What would your advice be with limited water supply?
I don't know. Get whatever you can. If you get the water off your roof, just whatever water you can get used. I mean, what else can you do?
And then you can also create microclimates and like plant stuff that's going to provide a lot of shade through the summer, because in the shady areas it's least likely to dry out as fast. How do you keep the borders around your garden so neat and tidy without the grass creeping in?
A line trimmer and occasional weeding.
All right. I think we only got 2 more, so you guys better catch up and start answering or asking some questions. What's the hardest part about maintaining a farm?
Discipline, commitment. This is what this guy really brings out in this book, the importance of just being focused and disciplined. It's just so key. You have to be committed, irregardless of the weather, the time, how you feel. You just do it because it needs to be done. And that's the bottom line of everything in life, really.
I thought I saw this question somewhere. Oh, I noticed Paul didn't talk about putting wood ash in the garden in the original Back to Eden video. Can you explain?
I don't know. Just the question never came up, or thought never came. But wood ash is just like I've always put it in the garden. It's just really a great resource, and a tremendous benefit to the garden.
Wasn't there some story or study you heard about?
Yeah. What's his name? It was a veterinarian who the government hired to do a study of the importance of minerals on human health. And he discovered his reality was the wood ash has the highest mineral content of anything that grows, anything in the garden. It's just and something he really brought to people's attention was that prior to electricity, everyone heated with wood, and they naturally put the wood ashes back in their garden. When electricity came, that whole process stopped, and that's became depleted. And I thought it was quite an interesting observation.
All right, Katie, I'd go ahead and get the rest of that planted.
Joel Wallach was his name, the guy who did
right.
Joel Wallach.
Yeah, Katie says, I got half of our garlic bulbs planted back in October. Should we go ahead and plant the rest now or wait till spring?
Why? The longer you wait, the smaller they're going to be. So go for it. Get them planted.
Cats. This is Azar. Jumping on the table, not listening. All right. Yeah, garlic actually has to go through a vernalization period. So if you want it to form big, like good-sized bulbs, it has to go through a decent amount of cold weather for a certain period of time in order for the plant to tell itself, okay, I can produce something. Let's see, there was a question on Instagram I saw. Any more questions? 23 of you. You guys are pretty quiet.
I don't
Yeah.
see any problem with berry bushes next to each other.
Like different varieties, or like elaborate? There we can elaborate. Trying to find this question. Lost it.
I'm using the chicken compost. I don't use very often because I'm just waiting for it to build up in there. So it's maybe once a year I'll probably access some of it, but I don't use a lot of it because there's not that much.
Do you do a lot of garden planning throughout the winter?
During the winter, you get seed catalogs, and I think so, yeah, because you've got time and you just think of what you're going to do, and seed catalogs are always interesting, give you new thoughts and ideas. And
I do a lot of planning. That's like just as fun for me as actually planting the garden. Because I don't know, I'm an artist, so I like to do all my designs and get everything down on paper a million times before I figure out what I want to actually do. Then it all changes when it comes time to plant.
yeah, those berries you mentioned are all vines, and they'll do fine together. I don't rotate at all because if you look at nature, there's no crop rotation, and the whole concept of crop rotation is really a lot of hard work for no reason, and it's stupid. You get things in a nice place and really work well. Why change it? My potatoes are growing under my trees. They do the best, and it's kind of shady. So I'm finding growing under trees is the best way to grow things, and so the sun is not that big of an issue. The companion, I mean the symbiotic relationship between the plants makes such a difference.
That's true. Just go up. It's being slow. Any other questions? I don't know why this got like that. All right, let's see. Find something.
Hi, Carol. Carol's on there.
Oh, really? How's Hawaii? All right, big brain, what's your question? I had a list, but I don't know what happened to it now. Can't find it. Go figure. All right, what are you most excited about next year with the garden and stuff?
Oh, just to see this place get used to its full potential because you're going to be growing so much. It's going to be great.
I'm excited. I'm gonna do a market garden. I made a video about the pond garden restoration project thing. Like, what all did you used to grow down by the pond?
Well, I grew potatoes at the bottom end, and then just lot of squash things. You had all kinds of room for the vines to grow, so I'd grow squash out there, winter squash.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm getting that. The garden out there that he used to grow in is all grass now, but I'm getting it back to garden space, and I'll be producing a lot of food and having a small CSA for people to come pick up food. It'll be cool. It'll be fun. Oh, I missed a question. Besides getting a dog and installing fences or other expensive means, How would you get rid of skunks, raccoons, rabbits, and other small pesky animals?
A good dog's the best. A good dog is so effective. The least impact on the property, least cost, and just does the best job.
Pepper. Yeah, I guess capsaicin oil. If you spray your plants with, if you like grow really hot peppers, that's a good point. If you grow really hot peppers and like soak them in water and maybe a little like neem oil or like paraffin oil or something as a sticker, Dawn dish soap works too, and spray that on your plants. When the raccoons or rabbits or whatever, any mammal, when that comes and tries to eat the plant, it'll burn them, and they don't like hot food, so that'll deter them for a little bit. I don't know. If it rains, you have to reapply it, but yeah. What happened to my cowboy hat? That's upstairs in my room. When it's wintertime, it's kind of hard because it gets windy and cold. So like I like to throw my hood up or a hat on or a warmer hat. So this normal baseball hat works.
Oh, we're good.
Do you guys have any video recommendations for what you would want me to produce more content on? Let's see. I'm planning to build a garden in my backyard in a few years, 2+ years. What can I do over one weekend each year to prep considering that time?
Spread wood chips over the ground. And let that soil build.
And start building a compost pile. Save all your yard waste. What keeps happening? Save all your yard waste and compost it. Put that down. Top it off with some wood chips.
Pinhole glasses. This is what they are right here. You can see like they have little holes in them. And these are so effective to improve your vision because what it does, it forces you to look through the holes in your eye and teaches your eyes how to focus. And you build muscles. And whenever I read, I use these. And I have 20/20 vision, and before I had 20/60. So these really work. And again, it's an exercise.
Do you have any tips on food preservation?
Drying is the best way to preserve food. You maintain 95% of the food value. When you can't, you lose 95%. So drying is the very best way to preserve food.
I'm wearing my hat in Hawaii anyways. I don't care. They're a bunch of rednecks. You said it yourself. The sun's so intense there. I don't want to burn my forehead. Semi-dwarf when it comes to fruit trees.
I would do dwarf because they're going to get a lot bigger than they say. Not standard ever.
Yeah,
that's going to be impossible to stop.
That's if you is freeze drying okay, or does the freezing process harm the food?
I think freeze drying is great.
I loved the mole trap video.
Well, it works. What is your favorite part of gardening? How can you define that?
I know.
It's all of it, man. Every part of it works, and it's just it's like spring. It's so great to see seeds coming up, as they grow and then eating the good food and then the abundance. It just gets getting more and more. It's just all of it is just it's like a incredible movie. This gets better and better in time.
Yeah, I don't even know what my favorite part is. I don't know. Planting the seeds, watching them come up, that's always fun. and picking what you grew, and then saving seeds from what you grew. I don't know. It's all fun.
Bulgaria, all right.
I don't know. So many people wanted us to go live, but they don't have a lot of questions. All right. All
Oh,
right.
hi, Amy. Bless you. Have a great day. Enjoy your company.
All right. I planted an apple tree last year. Would it be okay to mulch them? If so, how much mulch should I use?
Well, how much money do you want in the bank? Really, just and go wide. Put the mulch, because the roots are going to really spread. So the further you put it out, the further the roots are going to go to get it. So, like I say, it's just how much money you want in the bank. That you can put as much as you want on it because you're not going to hurt anything.
Yep.
Anything you wish to? Are you going to plant something you haven't yet?
Let me think. I don't know. I'm excited about my Salanova next year. I don't know. I haven't grown that one. The seed's so expensive, so I haven't. But
When was the first? Well, I'll tell you, it's what comes to mind is when he told me he didn't want me smoking marijuana. That was really huge. And I told him the only way I could get free of this is if he took away the desire. And what was so hilarious, I had spent all this time growing this marijuana down in California in this hidden place, and I was taking fish emulsion down at night, to water it and just really doing the best. I bring it in the house, and I do everything by the book. And I have my friends over. I'm rolling this stuff up, and I'm smoking it. And I'm totally straight as an arrow. And I'm thinking, like, what a waste! I did all this work, and it's worthless. By saying, "Where did you get? This is the best I ever had." And I heard inside, I took it. And that was the most awesome deliverance I've ever experienced. God just took away the effect, and the thing never touched me again. And I was totally free. It was awesome.
do I not put the mulch close to the trunk of the tree?
No, you put it right up to the tree. Again, if you look at nature, in nature, when the wind blows, needles and leaves will pack up against tree trunks, thick. No one takes that away. The trees are fine. Why would you leave a space on the tree for all kinds of weeds and garbage to fall in for you to have to maintain? Just put it right up to the tree trunk. It's not going to hurt anything.
Favorite veggie to introduce kids to?
Well, there's some kids over here the other day, and they're out there eating the kale. I mean, if you grow on good foods, kids like it. You don't have to introduce it; they'll go for it.
I feel like root crops because they all grow pretty quick, and they like when the kids see like say a radish. I hate radishes, but let's use a beet. That sounds better. When they see the beetroot starting to like swell up and form on top of the soil, that like really tends to excite them. I don't know. It's kind of cool. And cucamelons. That's always fun. They look like little tiny watermelons. All the kids that I've ever shown them to have loved them.
I noticed when I was 30 years old, I was up here and I was building my house, and a young kid on the road out here went down on a motorbike. So I ran out to help him. It's about 300 feet, and about 250 feet into it, my legs started crumbling. That's when I realized, wow, something's not right here. That was when I was 30 years old.
What are some fast-growing crops for school gardens?
Greens are great.
Yeah.
They're really quick. Like arugula is really fast. Just yeah, your greens are spinach, lettuce, that kind of thing, because it really is quick and you get it.
Yep.
Results really fast, really very fast. Borders, I'll tell you, the best way to make borders is concrete, and it's the cheapest. And the nice thing about concrete is that you can make, like, use that little 1/4 inch bender board, and you can make nice turns, whatever angles you want, really easily. And concrete's forever, and it's really cheap, easy to apply. Great, yeah, pruning works, doesn't it?
Gardening, or yeah, how do you cope with gardening with your wife?
I'll tell you what's really helped me in life is the scripture that says, "In everything give thanks." And when you're grateful, you just overcome your obstacles. You don't look at, like, I can't do this. You think, like, how do I do this? And you just start figuring out ways, and you become creative. And it's just a mindset of gratitude. Thank you that I can do what I can do, and you just keep doing it. And you just and you get improvise. You find ways. I mean, it's amazing how I use my stick for all kinds of things that I would never thought of, because I have it, and that's what I use.
All right, it's kind of a broad question. What are your best varieties of apple trees?
The last one I ate is my favorite, because they're all good. And each time you eat a new one, it's like, this is an incredible experience because they're all good.
All right, I saw the question about the anaerobic soil. Let me find it. All right, my first year I covered raw. Okay, yeah, my first year I covered raw yard with 6 inches of chips. I found my soil went anaerobic. How long till the biology returns?
I don't know. I've never had that problem. I'm not sure.
You can bring the biology back. Make biological compost teas and inoculate your soil. Um, if it went anaerobic, that's because it's a lack of oxygen. So you probably have really clayey soil and got a lot of water, or too much. Yeah, too much water.
How would I advise people struggling with addiction? Go to God. God is awesome, and He's really there for you. And just and then just believe. Faith is powerful. And just say, I'm going to overcome this, and have faith and believe, and just keep saying, I'm going to overcome it, and just start practicing overcoming it.
Do you still have open house? My daughter would love to come visit. Not really open house,
Well,
but
I do tours, like, from April till, excuse me, from June till September, because that's when things are growing. Right now, there's not much growing. I mean, I'm going to be doing pruning soon. People are going to come to watch me prune. That's going to happen, right away. And so, if you want to come and watch pruning, you can come soon. Just call, and we'll arrange a date.
what are the benefits around? What are the benefits of rocks around fruit trees?
Well, rocks are
So
minerals, and they're releasing,
we can.
minerals into the soil on a continual basis. They're just their presence is really significant as far as mineral content. So rocks are like a mineral content. In my place, I would rather not have rocks around my trees, because I want to grow stuff there. And so if I have rocks, I like them buried out of sight, because they would be in my way if I want to plant things on top of the ground.
With the rocks, though, I've actually experienced, like, if you have really big rocks, like boulders and stuff, just laying around, because people have that sometimes. Um, you can plant like around them, like stuff that needs like a warmer climate to grow, and those rocks create a nice microclimate. So when the sun beats on them all day, at nighttime they slowly release the heat, and it keeps the plant warm. So like back home, the first year I tried growing loofahs, and Kiwano melons. They both like really warm weather, and early in the season when it wasn't the hottest, they really like the plants that were near rock or brick or whatever. They did really well because they had that extra warmth at night.
Jack, when I was in Vietnam, I was in the 101st Airborne Division. I was in infantry. I was in the field. I used an M60 machine gun. That was my weapon, and that's what I did.
What kind of blueberries did you plant? Because there's some that are like bred for staying really small and being okay for like potted
Yeah, the
scenarios.
blueberries range from size to ground covers to 8 feet tall,
Yeah.
and my favorite one here is called Olympia because it produces for such a long period. It's amazing how long those things stay out there, and it's just a really heavy producer. And I really like that variety called Olympia.
And then I found this one this year. It's called I think it's blue raz. It tastes like if you eat blue raspberry candy, that's exactly what it tastes like. And I'm like, I've got a sweet tooth, so I think they're amazing. I don't think they last too long in the season, but it's worth it to have at least one of those. Dukes, they get big. I haven't heard of Chippewa. But yeah, Dukes, those are good blueberries. They get really big berries too. Get down. All right, Zatar's Gardens. If you're still watching, this is Zatar the cat. He's gotten pretty big. It's crazy.
Yeah, Jack, I was drafted, so I only did one tour because I didn't want to be in the military. I was there because of compulsion.
All right, which ones will work in planters? Do you know the names of the ground cover varieties you have? Blueberries?
No, I don't. But Burnt Ridge Nursery and Orchard has a really nice catalog, and in the catalog they specify the size of the plants, how big they get, and so for planters you want to get smaller ones.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know a lot of the names of the blueberries. There's so many. Do you have beehives on your property?
No, but I have boxes for big wooden blocks of wood with holes in them for mason bees.
Maybe I'll make a video on how to make a mason beehive. It'd be kind of cool. People would probably like that. Find a cool block of wood. Probably belting was in the mines. I don't know if I would want rubber as the garden border, but yeah, I don't know.
Do I have any college education? I went 1 year to Prairie Bible Institute. It was a Bible college. Other than that, no, I don't. And let me tell you about my sense of college education. And if you look at human history, people always learn from mentors, from masters. The people teaching in college are not masters. They're good at their doing because they make what they do and they're talking about it. I think the whole principle is a waste of time and energy. And like I say, if you want to be good at something, find a master and go work for them. Learn from a master. That is the best way to learn because it's hands-on. You are applying it every day, and you're learning from the best.
Okay, you say that one. Hold on. Get down. Okay, where was I? You say that once you harvest your greens in your garden, they wilt fast and don't keep in the fridge. Would it be because your vegetable where did it go? Would your vegetables are in symbiotic relationship with the mycorrhizal fungi?
No, because they're full of enzymes. See, enzymes' purpose is to break it down, either turn it back to soil or digestive food into your body. And so that because my food is so full of enzymes, they break down really quickly.
All right, you can answer this one. I don't know anything about enough about lemon trees.
Where is it?
I planted my lemon trees in spring in beautiful soil with compost and wood chips. Well, here's the first question. Were the wood chips mixed in? Because that could have been a problem. Unfortunately, it has been unseasonably hot. Okay. Super temps or summer temps and hot, dry wind. The trees lost their leaves. Where's the rest of the question? And looked like they were dying. Any suggestions to keep them alive?
Water. They're dying because they're dehydrated, so they've got to get water.
And I think they like sandy soil, don't they?
The soil doesn't really matter. It's just all about having airspace, and wood chips will do that. But water is real critical. And with like when things lose their leaves, they're saying I'm dehydrated.
And then back to the question about the wilting greens. Like a lot of that, like when you've seen people, like wasn't it like a celery stalk or something you talk about? That's typically at the tour in the summer when it's hot at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I think timing, like time of day, has a lot to do with the like how long the produce you pick will last. Like for greens and stuff, you want to pick it like first thing in the morning or late at night because all the sugars and enzymes and stuff get packed into the leaves and the plant just kind of rests for the night. But when the sun comes out and it starts getting hot, like they start, well, naturally just wilting so they can.
The English one is probably the closest to the original. And I'll give you a couple examples. All the King James Version is hard to understand because the spiritual things are hard. It's not natural. And so, this, for example, like these two verses really show the effect. The King James says, "Thanks be to God, which gives us the victory." All the other translations say, "Thanks be to God who gives the victory," and it changes the whole meaning. Because you see, by giving thanks is how I access it. He doesn't do it for me. I get it by doing. Another one, it says, I can do all things through Christ, King James, which strengthens me. Everybody else says, who strengthens me. You see how it changes the meaning? By going to him, trusting him is how I get the victory. He doesn't do it for me. I work it out. And so by simple words, because it doesn't make sense to the mind, they try to make it fit, changes the whole meaning. And so I really found that my sense is I really appreciate the King James. I think it's the closest to the original.
My lettuce is still growing with kale. How cold before I lose the lettuce? They're in plastic hoop houses.
I don't know the temperature, but the lettuce will tell you.
That's true. You can create microclimates, and especially if you're using a hoop house, that's one microclimate. So you're a few degrees warmer inside there at night than you would be in an exposed setting. But if you have, like, depending on how tall your hoop house is, you can put another hoop with like agribond or whatever, like row cover fabric. Put that over the lettuce. Make sure it's not touching the leaves because then you're going to get damage. But yeah, like the more you cover, the warmer it'll be and the longer it'll last.
Picking is just something you learn. I'm finding the sooner you pick, usually the better it is. The longer you wait is tougher and more bitter. So I think just the earlier you can get stuff, the best. Nick is not related to me, but we're really become really good friends, and he's a real blessing. We're brothers in the spirit, though. We're because we know God. We're in that family. Something too about hot climates. Planting under trees really helps. The shade helps things be cooler.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a real advantage when you're in hot climates to plant under trees.
Just like we were talking about the winter microclimates, keeping stuff warm, and planting under trees keeps it. Two varieties out of my 8 apple trees aren't doing well. The others are great. Should I remove the poor ones or graft?
I don't know. I don't know what the varieties are. I don't know what you mean by poor. But yeah, I would just encourage them to grow. If they're good varieties, let's make them work. And just so give them more food, more water, just help them out.
Do you have any advice for people in elevation gardening above 6,000 feet?
Things that grow fast. You don't have much time. So
Yeah, I'm not even sure. I thought there was one more, but I can't find it.
yeah, like clover, clover will stay low to the ground. You have to mow that. So yeah, clover is really great for low cover crop.
The only thing is you will have to kill it. And in order to kill the clover, you will either have to bury it in wood chips, and then that'll be kind of hard when you've got clover will come up easily through 3 to 4 inches of chips if it wants to. So you're probably gonna have to put at least 6. And when it comes to planting vegetables, having 6 inches of chips can be kind of a pain. You have to rake them aside and then plant, and then hope the chips don't fall back into the hole and cover your seedlings up. Um, you could tarp it to kill the clover back, and then you'll get nice clean compost under the tarp after a couple weeks, but still takes time from tarping it.
Thank you, Dirt Mom. Appreciate you.
Dirt Mom.
Dirt Mom.
Let's see, did we miss any? How many children do you have?
7. I have 7 children.
I know you guys have more questions. Silly question, but will dog pee hurt the base of my berry bush?
I don't think so. No, it won't be any problem. It's just offensive, maybe offensive to you, but it's not going to hurt the plant. Yeah, I've grown juice artichokes. The challenge with those is trying to stop them. They'll take over, so you got to really
They need to be in a barrel.
be on it. What vegetables are K?
I don't know what that is. Okay, I'm curious to know if you're still pasturing sheep on a mulched plot.
No, the sheep are on a pasture. It's not mulched,
Yeah.
but it's just a pasture. How can you pray for me? Just but I would hear well. Keep hearing.
We have a lot of large brown worms in our garden this past summer. I couldn't get rid of them, so I fenced it and put my chickens in there. Why? What's wrong with the worms?
Yeah, why wouldn't get rid of worms? Are an asset. They're a real blessing to your soil. You want them. People try to get worms.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the rapid explosion of the Back to Eden movement? Did you ever think it would be as popular as it is?
I never had any idea, and the only explanation is thank you, God. God did it all. Yeah, He's so good.
Oh, the worms are destroying my plants. Okay, well that's a good reason. Yeah, chickens.
Chickens are great for any insect problem.
Rotate chickens through the garden, and they'll definitely.
They will get everything out. They are really thorough. They're so good.
Yep. You know what kind of large brown worms you've got? And where do you live? Because that has something to do with it. What are they doing?
I've just never seen worms damage plants. I'm just trying to,
It's
figure.
probably like grubs, like
Okay,
some type of big fat grub. Are you still having issues with deer? We're just talking about that.
Well, when hunting seasons opened up, they disappeared. So I don't have a problem now, but I get a dog here because they were really, I've never ever experienced such damage to my yard. They were really amazing. They ate every single leaf off my apple trees. I mean, they took all the leaves off the trees. It was scary.
What advice can you give to people who may not be able to get chickens, but still want to use the back to Eden method?
Oh, no problem. The chickens are just an asset. The back to Eden method with the ground covering with wood chips works great, with or without chickens. Yeah, nature is a great teacher, and it's been operating for 6,000 years. It's never changed, and it's quite effective. And it's just, how can you deny the benefit?
And another thing with the chickens, like rotating them through stuff. If you've got like earwigs and what's the name of that one worm that gets in apples commonly? Oh boy,
Wireworm? No.
No. It's like on the tip of my tongue, but whatever. If you have like bug problems with your apple trees and stuff, a lot of the times those bugs overwinter in the soil because there's no leaves and there's no apples on the trees in the winter for them to live in. So they crawl down the tree, live in the soil over winter. So if you keep your chickens in your orchard, like fence it off somehow, the chickens will go through and they'll significantly lower the pest population. That way, come spring, there's not as many, and like nature can catch up on naturally keeping the pests down. Because in an orchard setting, that's still kind of monoculture because it's just a bunch of apple trees or whatever kind of trees you got. So pests can really build up in a setting like that. Codling moth, that's it.
Yeah, right now I don't have fish in the pond because I don't maintain the level to the height it should. But when my kids were here, I used to put 3,000 gallons a day into the pond, and we had trout. They were really nice, but I don't have fish in it now.
There's newts though. That thing is filled with
I know.
newts.
And the thing about newts are really a great reality, because if they're there, it's saying you have a clean place. Newts are very, very fragile animals, and they can only live in clean places. If there's any toxicity, they'll never be there. So newts to the place indicates a real cleanness. So they're really a great asset to have.
Yeah, there's newts, frogs. Like, if you know anything about aquatic insects, it's like filled with daphnia and water scorpions and what else did I see?
The pond is 12 feet deep. That's the depth of it. It goes from 12 to 0. It's on a slope, but the deepest part is 12 feet.
When it's full.
When it's full, yeah.
How deep do you think it is, like, when it's at its lowest, besides empty? Because I haven't seen it empty.
It's never empty. I think it's probably maybe at the lowest it gets is maybe like a foot and a half.
Oh, really?
What do I say to people who doubt my gardening method? Look at nature. How can you doubt it? It works.
Or just look at his garden. Like, duh. I mean, you can't really doubt something that you're looking at.
If something's functional. How can there be any doubt?
Yeah. Oh, remember that question? Like, what vegetable is high in K? It was vitamin K.
Yeah, good live food is awesome. It's just can't. There's nothing better.
Do you think that your method is better than others, or would you suggest people doing what works for them?
Well, that's what works for you is great, but what I've found is this is really I can't find anything simpler. This is really effective. It's quite easy. Again, it's what nature does. Nature does covering, and everything grows well in it.
And when you say covering, just so people like understand, like a lot of people can't get access to wood chips. Like it's really, really hard for some people. So grass clippings, like just like you talked about in the film,
Yeah,
grass, straw, even
leaves.
rocks work.
Yeah.
It's all covering. So the whole back to Eden method is like a nice broad umbrella that covers all of the coverings. But wood chips, they are like at the top of the list.
And that's what the forest uses.
Yeah.
Again, there's your demonstration. Yeah, the variety of corn is spring treat. That's really a great variety. I love that. Small stalk and just I had actually up to 7 ears per stalk this year. It was amazing the number. I've never seen so many.
In wood chips, you don't have to weed. Wrong. You don't have to weed as often.
Yeah, weeds will always show up and seeds blow in the air, and if you got a fertile place, they're going to grow. But they come up much easier in a wood chip environment. That's right. Everything I have, I've received, and nothing comes from me. It's all a gift.
What are they doing? These cats are like losing their mind. Well, that's good. What's your favorite home?
Hmm. I don't know if it's but guy that just like a bleed cayenne is amazing to stop blood. I mean, it's phenomenal how it will stop a bleed. Colloidal silver is just amazing for dealing with all kinds of issues. Anything you got to clean up. It's just phenomenal. I don't know. It's just it was just nature. The things that work in nature are the best home remedies.
Could you quickly justify your gardening method using biblical references?
The Garden of Eden. That's my reference. That's where it started. In the Garden of Eden, it was all covering. There was no tilling. And after the fall, when man separated from God and came under the influence of devils, when the whole problem came with tilling, because it never happened in the garden. The garden is the ultimate demonstration of how to garden.
What are your favorite herbs for fresh teas? This is like
Well,
Carol's department.
yeah, Carol's really good, but I like Campbell tea. Chamomile is just a really relaxing, nice tea. I love the mints. Mints are really good in tea. Yeah, I guess whatever you need because they all have beneficial benefits and they work.
Yeah, I guess this person missed it in the beginning, but they have old trees.
Okay, old fruit trees. You have to be careful when you start pruning that you limit your pruning to 1/3 the entire mass. If you go over that, you're going to have problems. So with old trees, it's going to take several prunings, several years to get them into shape. But that's okay. So you start out by getting in the center, getting rid of all the dead, the crossovers, and the upright shoots going through, and then over time you start bringing it down. But you'll have to do it over a period of time because it didn't happen in a year. You're not going to correct it in a year.
And I've heard this a lot. 1/3 from the top limb. So like they're thinking like
No, 1/3 of the entire mass of the tree is what you want to limit to what you prune.
and that includes the trunk.
That includes the trunk and big wood. So it's like the entire mass you want to break it up in a third and 1/3 of that mass is the most you can do at any time.
All right. Paul, remember the last time ever getting sick, constantly eating from Oh, yeah. Question mark. I'm constantly eating from my garden, and I haven't caught a cold since then. All my life, I was sick and in bed for at least 2 months a year without immunity.
Isn't that great? I'm telling you, it's just I love the effects of live food. It's so functional, and it's nice being well. Being sick is a drag.
Almost 4 years ago, I put down several layers of cardboard and probably about 9 inches of wood chips and compost. This past summer was the first time I planted in it. So far, so good.
No, I think the Sabbath is necessary rest for us every week. It's essential. And I found in my experience, when I used to work 7 days a week, I was always going backwards. It's critical to rest one day, and I know the Sabbath is the day to do it.
Is a standard fruit tree not worth this method?
It's not the matter of worth. It's like 1/3 is a max, no matter how big the tree is. So it's just no matter the size of the tree, it applies to everything, standard or dwarf.
I think they might even be talking about I don't know, maybe, I guess that is pruning, same person. But do you have a root cellar or just that freezer I saw in one of your videos?
No, I don't have a root cellar, and it's not a freezer. It's a cooler. It's a walk-in cooler.
Yeah. Our church garden group started a back to Eden style garden. We put down 6 to 8 inches of wood chips and covered our 5,000 square foot garden. We are very excited for next year.
Great, wonderful.
That's cool.
I keep the Sabbath on the Sabbath, which is Saturday. Never changed. And Sunday was pretty much the Catholic Church's idea, and it was never the idea of God. God's never changed.
All right. Would you be willing to travel and do an open forum?
I don't know. I don't travel well. I did. Well, just to give an example how much I travel. I went back to New Hampshire this year to see my friend with hyperbaric chamber. The last time I traveled was 8 years ago, and I went to see him. So I don't do much traveling. But I want to be open to God. If for some reason if God would lead me to go someplace, I would do it. But my natural inclination is I don't travel.
Any more questions? We're slowing down. See if I can come up with something.
Yeah, pruning is so effective to growth. It's just nothing will make a tree grow better than pruning. Good pruning. Pruning is really encouraging to the tree.
Please share about when you spread rock dust in your orchard.
We have a town is a place who makes crushed rock, and in the machine that does it, off to the side of the place, all this little dust goes, and I go pick it up and bring it in. And I used to use it, for a while, but I'm finding now that I haven't done it for years, and I'm realizing that in my wood chips I'm getting all the minerals I really need. So if you have it, it's a great resource, but it's not necessary. It's not essential.
And rock mineral lasts a really long time when you put it down. So putting it down once, you'll have it for, I don't want to say ever, but more than likely forever.
And I have a demonstration out here in front of my house that really shows that rock is the very best, because I have wood chips and my strawberries are growing into it, but they've moved into my crushed rock driveway. And the ones in the crushed rock driveway are considerably bigger than the ones in the wood chips. So I'm telling you, the evidence clearly says that rock minerals are really, the highest potency of mineral content. Carol's in Hawaii because we grew up in California. She used to live in Laguna Beach, and she loves the water, the beach, and the sun, and that's why she's there. She misses because we don't have that here in Washington State. It's not warm this time of year, so she really loves the beach. That's why she's in Hawaii.
What are your views on Israel being the #1 exporter of agriculture in the Middle East? Do you think this method would work in a desert setting?
Of course it would, and that's why Israel has become what it is. If you remember, Israel was a desert for 2,000 years, and when they came back and started covering the ground and growing food, all of nature showed up. It's raining and snowing in Israel, and it just shows how the nature responds to covering. It's powerful.
Organic matter can be a covering.
And that's what nature does. You see, nature's every fall putting a covering on the earth. It's just if you look at it, it's so obvious how simple and perfect this works.
I'd lose my mind with 13 feet of snow.
That's intense.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how I'd do it.
Oh, Jack, you so got it. The thing I'm seeing about God is that these principles about God are in everything. And covering is such a significant principle in the spirit realm. It's huge. And it's just, if you look in nature, everything living has a protective covering. It's just, God's order is amazing. And I'm finding that his principles are in everything because he's so ordered. He's so orderly.
Yeah, the fall leaves will work.
Yeah, leaves, I'll tell you the thing I'm finding my students, leaves really encourage worm development. Guy, worm of, composting leaves, they really show up big time.
Yep. I put leaves in a drum, chop them up with a weed eater, then put them in my garden or around my trees.
Good idea. Great. Winter, often there's no garden to take care of, no weeds to pull, no lawn to mow. It's convenient and it's accessible. Now I prune all summer long, like little shoots that come in the center. I always rub them off. So it's not just limited to the winter, but that's when I do most of my pruning is in the wintertime because it's very convenient. Oh, Christine, I don't know. I think I'm 70 years old, so I think you develop in time over age. I'm sure I wasn't as patient earlier on in life, but as you get older, you develop, and that's good. During the winter season, I got my trees to prune, and that's really it's fun doing them. But that's and then I do a lot of reading in the winter. Like it's raining, and can't be outside, so I like to read, and so I enjoy the winter. It's a nice time.
Did you get this one? Do you guys have a list of easy to grow and maintain fruits and veggies? Like when tough times hit?
No, the rule of thumb is grow what you want to eat, and that's key. If you're not going to eat it, there's no point in growing it. You want to grow what you're going to eat.
And learn to save seed from it.
Yep, that's really critical. Saving your seed, because if you can't get seed, you're going to need seed. So you can say, and that's the beauty of open pollinated plants. They produce their own seed, and so by being diligent, you'll always have good food.
If we eat the way God originally intended, we shouldn't have eggs or oils, should we?
Avocados have oil. That's, there's a lot of foods have oil. Your nuts have oils. Eggs, that's questionable, but I like eggs.
We have 5 chickens and everything goes to them. My wife and I removed 15 wheelbarrow loads of beautiful compost to fill her flower beds. The flowers were never bigger and healthier.
Don't you love it? I love things that work. They're so encouraging.
What would you consider your greatest strength?
My greatest strength is tenacity and staying with it. Discipline. My weakness is the lack of that.
What do you do with your apple tree leaves?
I never get a chance to do anything with them because the wind blows them all off. The winds really rip through here during the fall, winter, and I don't have a leaf anywhere in my yard. The wind takes them all away from me. So I can't answer that. I don't get leaves.
Here's one, Paul. Can you Google Tom Loud? He is a very powerful faith healer in Washington.
I can. Yeah, when Carol gets home, I'll have her do it because I don't do the computer, but she doesn't.
Yeah. Can you elaborate? How do you grow food with enzymes?
Enzymes are in the food
Really?
naturally, and that's what causes them to either break down, turn back to dirt, compost, or gives you nutrients in your body. And so it's just part of nature. And I don't know how to increase it. It's just there. So healthy plants have enzymes. This is what's so sad. If you look at your stores today in the stores, that food will sit on the shelf for a week and not change because there's no
Longer than a week, really.
There's no enzymes in it. And so when you're eating it, you're not getting any benefit because there's nothing to break it down. And this is why we're so sick today, because our food has no life.
Should I prune my Asian pear tree as a modified central leader or vase shape? Fire blight is a big issue in the South.
Pear trees, their nature is to grow straight up, and so you want to develop them to spread. So I always prune the outer growth, prune to something heading out, and maintain that. Anything goes shoot, just develop the tree to spread. The blight is an issue of malnutrition, and so if your tree gets well, you're not going to have a problem with any blight.
Okay, do you feed your chickens any bought-in food? So, like, I'm assuming grains. And if so, what is the ratio to garden waste?
I give them only whole grain. It's either oats or barley, and it's all in relationship to having no garden waste. If I have stuff from the garden, I don't give them anything, any grain. It's only when I don't have stuff from the garden I use grain.
And there's so much coming out of the garden that they hardly get any grain. But if you're in a situation where you're not yet producing enough food out of your garden to feed your chickens, then I would probably suggest using like a more diverse grain mix. Just like any animal, if you eat the same thing and only the same thing every day, you're not going to be healthy. But they get so much green. It's like the oats or barley kind of just keeps them warm in the winter.
Well, I think all cultures have good food. The Italians are, they really care about it, so they make a point to have good stuff. But all cultures, the Chinese, everybody is, they're healthy and they're eating good food, so they all have stuff to share with us.
How do you feel about Chinese varieties of vegetable seeds?
I think they're okay.
Depending on where they're grown and how they're grown. That really, I
Yeah,
don't care.
that's
I
the
don't care.
bottom
Yeah,
line. Yeah,
yeah.
is how they're grown.
I don't care where they're coming from as long as they're produced properly.
I'm not finding any conflict in my gardening and my faith. It's all in total harmony. It's great.
In the abundance of fruit like tomatoes, blackberries, falling and rotting below the plant, will it cause problem in the spring with sprouting, or will they just come and be a benefit?
Yeah, tomatoes will be a problem. Those
Yeah.
things, man, I'll tell you, those seeds grow, and I in my garden, I'm telling you, it's like I'm weeding tomato plants because there's just so many of them because I didn't get them all out.
Yeah, that's true. To get the most, like the maximum nutritional value that includes the enzymes from your plants after you pick them, like like wouldn't you agree that we're designed to be like foragers? We
Yeah.
pick and eat. We don't pick, store, and then eat.
And here's the reality. You see, once something's cut off from its food source, it dies. Everything. And so the sooner you get it from the life force, from the ground, the better it is for you because it immediately starts to die.
But they're like, okay, so say like you have too much of something and it's just all gonna go to waste, and you don't have chicken to feed it to. Um, what was I saying? Yeah, if you have too much and you're harvesting it all at once, if you get it at the right time of day and like even the right time of week, depending on what the weather's going to look like, you can slow down the death rate of your harvest. And knowing how to properly store it will actually keep it alive a lot longer, even after it's picked. It slows it down. So learning that kind of stuff is really good to know, but eating it right away is also even better.
Jack, in answer to your question, my garden is teaching me new things every year. It never stops. There's always new things to learn. And my goal is to keep sharing, give it away, because it doesn't end. It's just because it's the creative nature of God. He's not static. He's living. And the garden is living and it's always revealing the truth.
Sprouting your chicken food is amazing. It not only they get more out of the grain, and you don't have to feed them as much because it'll fill them up a lot quicker. So it's just like that's the ideal way of doing it. It's just one extra step.
Really good food.
Yeah. You can have a full-on microgreen setup in your windowsill and produce a lot of food. Um, like when I raised my pastured chickens, I mean I wasn't sprouting it, but I was fermenting the grain, and that's just as good. Um, I just didn't have the time to sprout it and keep it all cleaned and washed and everything. Um, yeah, it's amazing for the birds. It's amazing for everything, no matter what the livestock or person you feed it to. All right, vermiculite or perlite?
Neither one they're sterile and they're unnecessary as far as I'm concerned.
In a garden,
and same with peat moss. Peat moss is sterile. Nothing grows in peat moss.
yeah, in a garden, that's true. But when you're using it for seed starting in like pots and stuff, something on vermiculite, since it's typically like it's known for being used as an insulation. There's what's that stuff called? Asbestos in vermiculite. So you got to be careful with that. Perlite, I would choose over vermiculite, like hands down normally. Depending, I guess. If you can get like a fine grade perlite for seed starting, I like that a lot better than like the big bulky stuff because the bulky stuff will just float up to the surface. And all perlite is a volcanic, it's glass actually, produced by volcanoes. So it's natural, sustainable. It's cool stuff. It's good for drainage.
There was one that was coming up and
Move it.
The problem with kids in my place is that parents today don't train their children, and they don't know how to respect private property. And so it's such a bummer because I like kids, but they don't really, they go ripping my apples off and just,
Climbing the trees.
climb the trees. It's just, they don't respect. And it's so sad because I want them to learn, but I live in a parents don't train their children, and it's pathetic. What about lacto fermentation?
Um, it's great. It's for, I'm assuming you're talking about livestock feed or even normal person stuff. I don't. I
Yeah,
mean, it's great, but I don't do it. So I don't want to touch on it because I don't know enough about it.
yeah. Saving food is really critical, and I think especially now, and that's what's so nice about having a garden is you always have food out there, and I think you never know what's ahead, and so it's just always wise to have provision. Like Joseph was a classic demonstration in Scripture of that principle. It's nothing's changed. It's always been that way.
How can you identify the difference between your voice and the voice of God when He is teaching you?
The word. God will always confirm his voice with his word. He said, Scripture says, the mouth of truth he witnesses, truth is confirmed. So if I have a question, whether it's my thought or his, I always go for confirmation. And many times I'll get it in the word, other times he'll get it in something else. But confirmation really helps me know that I heard.
Okay, is it advisable to have chickens live on the wood chips for a season instead of in a polytunnel, um, in order to fast track the benefits of wood chips?
Chickens are amazing cultivators. They're the best. They really, they really
Would add to that, like I've seen people put chickens on top of their wood chips thinking, oh yeah, it's going to break them down really quick. It all depends on your wood chips, like the type of tree they came from. Um, it's like how fast they'll actually
break
speed
down.
up the decomposition. But if you have like when it comes to using chickens on top of wood chips, if you have a lot of wood chips and they're really deep, say about 8 inches to a foot, yeah, they'll be fine and they'll really help break them down. But if you've only got a couple inches, um, the wood chips in, they scratch a lot. So then the following season, you might see signs of like nitrogen tie-ups, and that won't be good. Um, so I guess if you have a shallow layer of wood chips and you have the chickens on for a season and you pull them off, I'd let the garden sit and rest for a season because that'll balance out that nitrogen tie-up and then fix things. But I mean, ideally, chickens get rotated so they don't sit on one spot for too long. It's just that's what works best when you're using them as a compost production facility. But moving them, they have to be continuously rotated. How would I describe Paul in 2 words? That's pretty limiting. I don't know. Um, awesome and knowledgeable. How about that? Whose answer got cut off? Maybe we can do it. No. Um, it depends on what you've got. If you've got access to like a caterpillar tunnel or something, sure, you might be able to grow food. But if it's too cold, I wouldn't plant anything 'cause it's not going to come up typically, depending on what it is, I guess. Yes, wise and kind. There's two more words. Practical and logical.
No, I was really blessed because my parents, we live in Los Angeles. We grew a lot of our food. And so I grew up, eating from the garden and fruit trees. So it's a lifestyle for that upbringing, because just to me, it's how we're supposed to live.
Okay, the chicken polytunnel question again. I don't see how a polytunnel would really speed up the decomposition of the wood chips. The chickens still help, but you just got to be smart about how you use your chickens, because your chickens can till the chips into the soil and
Fixing plants or trees are great, and
Yeah.
I don't specifically use them. But if they're there, they're functional. They work.
Yeah, like after the clear cuts and stuff, the first thing that comes up are the alders.
Yeah,
they're nitrogen
because
fixers
you're trying to restore the soil
and build soil fast.
for the next group of conifers.
Yep. Buffering, when you talked about microgreens, the Wi-Fi here is really slow, so I'm not going to be shocked if it buffered the whole time. I think I was just saying that you can grow a lot of food just by producing microgreens in a windowsill if you're in the city and don't have land. I think that's what I was talking about.
The biggest little farm is probably one of the best movies I've seen in a long time that really demonstrate the importance of tenacity and sticking with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. It's really, really powerful. And it just, it's such a demonstration of what can be done if you stay with and really transform this dead, funky farm into the most amazing, productive thing by being diligent. And it's really, really well done.
And I'm like drawing a blank on thinking of the guy's name. Their mentor, Alan, I tell you. So yeah, the biggest little farm's amazing. Who dictates what nutrients are taken up? The nutrients for the rootstock or from the scion? Yeah, that's just not going to work. There are two types of trees: apple to apple, pear to pear, stone fruit to stone fruit.
Okay, green love, your mature apple tree, pear tree, you want to bring it down like no more than 1/3 at a time. But you want to bring it. And what you'll do is you'll prune to branches that are going out, and that becomes their leader. And you let nothing grow on top of it. You just let all that energy go laterally, and that's what will maintain them at a nice height you want. Leaves are great in the garden. Yeah, no, they're wonderful. I don't know why we're so impatient, but that's just our nature, isn't it? It's not good.
I guess it doesn't need to have to be like a negative thing to be, well, the word impatient, I guess, is a negative thing, but like wanting to speed stuff up by using natural principles and like just like utilizing what you have.
Well, I think you used another word. It's called motivation.
Yeah.
Be motivated.
Yeah.
That's not impatient. That's
yeah, that's right.
Oh, Jack, God is love. That's his character. And that's just so foundational to everything in life, really.
Can your amazing system of wood chips be scaled up to commercial farming in a particular way?
In a practical way.
Practical way, yeah, sorry.
If you look at nature, the millions of acres God has growing out in nature, they do quite well.
Did you get the gift from this person in New Orleans a couple months ago?
Yes, thank you so much.
Oh, forget the plum. Okay, let's go back to that question. Where was it? Here it is. Okay, if you attach an apple scion to, say, rootstock without the plum. Who dictates what nutrients are taken up? The nutrients for the rootstock or for the scion, which are extracted from the ground?
Well, the new growth, whatever's growing, is taking nutrients.
And it's using the roots to
You know,
take them out of the
yeah.
ground.
So whatever the growth is, where the nutrients are ending up.
And being that it's going to be apple to apple, pear to pear, they're going to need the same nutrients. I don't care what variety it is. They all take the same stuff. But I guess if you had to pick, it'd be the rootstock because they're the ones doing the work, pulling stuff up. I have a young guava tree that has about a dozen small fruits. Should I remove them to give the tree energy to grow? And if so, for how many years should I do that? I really want guavas.
I would eat them. Why remove them? They're there. Just support the tree. The tree obviously put them on. They can handle it. They're good.
I don't think you're getting guavas up in Quebec. Go to the store.
Yeah, we had guavas in California. They're really good. I like guavas.
I think I saw a question about persimmon trees, but I don't know. Did you see that? Did you answer it?
Mm-mm.
You wrote persimmons, right?
We had persimmons in California. They're good.
Yeah. I planted asparagus for the first time this year. It looks great. Can I start eating some of it next year?
Depending on the size of the spear, if it's big enough to eat, go for it.
What is one piece of advice for big agriculture? Don't be big. That's what's ruining the world.
Yeah, and
Big
I think
agriculture.
if you take one day at a time and maintain what you've done, then you're good. The problem with big is that you have everything spread out. It's not well maintained, and you lose it. That's all about diligence and just taking good care of what you have.
I think the only way is by having, like, back to the diversify, a bunch of small farms. If you have if you have a few big farms, you're only going to be producing a limited amount. But if you have a bunch of small stuff, think of the abundance that you get out of a small garden. You're constantly giving stuff away. So if everybody had a small garden and everybody was producing something, there's going to be too much food for people.
I think nature is a classic demonstration. You've never seen any shortage in nature, ever, because everything's functional. It's all working, and it's diversified. It's not like a monoculture. I haven't grown Chicago figs, but I've heard great things about them. They grow in Chicago where it freezes every year down to the ground, and they come back. And so I would go for it there, because they apparently, if you have a warm climate like you're going to have, they should do well. And figs are good for you.
Who is Busy Little House? She is the bomb. She is my mod.
What garden veg fruits you'll ever plant again? I don't know.
What would I never plant again? I don't even think I've ever thought about that. Yeah, I don't know.
I guess just whatever I'm not using.
Yeah, whatever I forget about. I had trouble with squash bugs this year. Will the chips eventually deter this problem?
I think health does. Yeah, if your plants get well, they tend to overcome issues.
Rotating chicken, diversifying does a lot. Are you familiar with Singing Frogs Farms? I think
No.
so.
Are you?
I've heard of them.
Mhm.
It is where keep moving. It is a very small farm that produces 100,000 in vegetable sales crop acre per year. That's like JM's farm. He's a little over 100,000 an acre now, I think. Yeah, it's just intensive, like bio-intensive, no-till to feed the planet.
Jack, favorite food in the garden is when it's ripe. That's my favorite
Yeah,
food.
whatever's right.
It's all good, and every time I eat something, it's like a whole new sensation. Like, this is so good.
All right. What would you advise for people who live where the winter lasts about 6 months with snow? How would we go about getting fresh vegetables from the garden?
Well, hoop houses covering and then growing things that grow quickly. It's just you're limited to its time, so you have to grow things that grow fast.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think you'll have to import. I don't know if it's possible to grow enough there.
All right. A couple of years ago, Paul had said that a documentary, What the Health, was a must see. What are Paul's thoughts about the vegan movement?
I don't know. I'm more inclined to live food movement, like fruits and vegetables in season, than just vegan.
Yes.
I
Thank
think,
you.
and so just anytime we would label stuff and start to how can I say it segregate, it's not beneficial. God created all, food in season is the best, and
I feel like a problem with the whole vegan movement is I'm not gonna say all these vegans because there's a lot of vegans out there growing food and doing regenerative gardening and stuff like that. That's great. Keep it up. Um, but with the whole vegan movement, like they get very defensive when you have something that goes against what they're about. Um, they talk about eating all the fruits and vegetables and blah blah blah, but then they don't talk about like where people should be getting the best fruits and vegetables, and that's from a garden. You don't go to a grocery store to get fruits and vegetables and be a healthy vegan. That just doesn't happen. You have to take supplements and all that garbage, and yeah, you just I don't know. It's very controversial. There's a bunch we missed.
I don't have a tractor, so I can't be a good source to tell you what tractor to get. I'm sorry.
Where was that one? Oh, this one. Best mid-sized tractor to buy.
Yeah.
I
Definitely
like
a
little
loader.
John
Yeah,
Deeres.
if you can have a tractor, you should have a loader. That's obvious.
Yes. Somebody wants you to comment on the wealthy gardener again. Just probably new people, so they didn't.
The Wealthy Gardener it's just I cannot recommend a book more highly. Next to the Bible and Book of Proverbs, I haven't read anything that's so beneficial. It's really, really good. And especially for homeschooling. This would be the most amazing manual for homeschooling, because basically what it's about is this man's wife was killed by a drunk driver, and he went to the reformatory to because he was really stressed out by the pain from bitterness and unforgiveness. So he went to the reformatory and started discipling this kid how to live, and he kept doing it for this entire book, and it just totally brought healing to him. And I'm telling you, this guy deals with so many issues, and it's just so beneficial. It's one of the best books I've ever read next to the Bible. It's really, really done, really well done. And the reason he did the book was he got cancer. and he wanted what he'd done to get out. I'm going to tell you, it's just, the guy has an incredible heart. It's really, really, really great.
Do you fast?
Fasting is so beneficial. I do fast, and it's something that we should do. It's like, should be a given. It's really, really good for our bodies and good for our spirits. Drinking water, good water.
Oh, hold on. I think it's buff. All right. We should be back. Let's go on with Al. Going on. All right, I think he said something up here. Hold on. Working hard all these years has taken a toll on me. Been working since 15 with my dad fixing cars. No lane I work in the fast food industry until I complete the. I lost it. Where'd it go? Okay, hold on. Sorry, the Wi-Fi, it's glitching. Okay. My protected California oaks shade out my garden and young fruit trees. And my young fruit trees don't seem to be growing. Is there any hope, or is there no hope?
As long as you keep your oak, I think the oaks are taken over. So either have to get rid of those or live with what you have.
It ends up changing. So we'll figure that out. So we're signing off. Hope you guys have a good one. Happy gardening, even though it's winter in this area. Yeah. Adios. Keep asking questions in the thing though, because I'll go back to them next live stream. So yeah.